you want to cultivate a brand voice that attracts your ideal clients and maybe even repels the ones that you don't want to work with, you need to watch this video. My name is Kate Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist, and I help entrepreneurs change the world with what they know. The key to curating and delivering a killer brand voice is to figure out the ways that you are, on one side, memorable to your ideal clients, and then on the other side, relatable to your ideal clients. We're gonna do this in a 3-step process. The first step is you need to know inside and out what your brand's personality is. Think about your brand as a character in a movie or a person. How do they show up? How do they relate to people? How would that person talk to your ideal client? One of my favorite tools for doing this is to discover what your brand archetype is. You can find a primary archetype and a secondary, and it helps narrow your focus and gives you inspiration and ideas to follow that are on brand for you, not Joe Schmo down the street. Another part of your brand personality is the stories that you tell. If you have a signature origin story, or if you use metaphors in a specific way, your clients are going to know you without even seeing your design elements. Lastly, don't be afraid to add in some human elements to your brand, which make you both memorable and relatable. So if you are obsessed with Target, or the perfect avocado smoothie, or maybe you're a die-hard Game of Thrones fan, whatever it is, even if it's not completely related to your brand and your business, adding in some of these human likes, dislikes, and points of view are going to make your brand voice shine. Once you know yourself, the second step of this process is to find examples and to write standards that make sure your brand personality is communicated in the places you're actually showing up. So you can look at other Instagram accounts or big brands and see how they are actually choosing their words, the style that they format their text in, or the slang that they do or don't use. Curate examples of what your brand would do and what your brand wouldn't do. This might be a little extreme of an example, but for example, I would never open an email to a prospective client with, "To whom it may concern," or "Dear Mr. or Mrs." I'm just gonna say hello or hi and start my email. I adopt a more friendly tone of voice in my brand. The key with writing your brand standards to make this brand voice come to life is to be very specific. So get down to the actual lists of words that you do or do not use. Curate the slang that you do or do not use. And are you going to swear in your brand? And then also, what is the style of your text? Are you an all caps, all excited type of brand? Or maybe you're a defy the rules, unconventional, all lowercase type of brand. Or maybe just the formal, expected title case type of brand. So actually decide how your words are going to be styled on the screen or on the page when you're talking to your ideal clients. And the last piece of your brand voice standards is to have words that your brand owns. So this might be a product name. It might be a word that you use to describe the outcome that your ideal clients get. But there should be a very short list of words that when your ideal client hears, they think of your brand. Decide what those are in advance so that you can use them throughout your copy and content. The third step in this process of developing a killer brand voice is to actually get to work and to know that this is an iterative process. So maybe you work with a copywriter and they completely flop. They just don't get you and they don't sound like you at all. This is a great opportunity to figure out exactly what they're doing. What are the words that they're using? What is the styling or punctuation that they're using? What stories are they telling that aren't on brand for you? And you can add these to your standards that you've already started to curate. And lastly, keep writing. Keep collecting these stories that fit your brand to a T. Keep in action so that you can find your voice through the act of actually publishing and seeing what resonates with your ideal clients. The more that you know, the more that you write, the more that you publish, the more data that you'll have about who you actually are and what you sound like. So good luck. Follow these 3 steps: defining your brand personality, finding, curating, and setting the standards for your brand voice, and then staying in constant action and reinvention as you go to create a voice that attracts your ideal clients, repels the ones that you shouldn't work with in the first place, and makes you memorable and relatable in your ideal client's mind. I want you to comment below, what is something weird or a little known fact about you or your brand that you can add into your brand voice to make yourself stand out? I can't wait to hear them because we're all a little weird.